Welcome to The Road Less Traveled, brought to you by the Loreseekers podcast. In this lore series, we will explore the darkest corners of Tamriel to present to you some of the rarest and most intriguing lore books that we've discovered in our travels. Each episode will begin with a reading of the text. We will then continue with a brief explanation of the events surrounding the story. Although our goal is to be as accurate to the history as possible, remember that the lore in the Elder Scrolls is usually told from the perspective of its reader. So fill your mug and join us as we seek the lore of the deep and magical land of Tamriel. The Eagle and the Cat by Lord Garashri, Speaker for the Main, found in Reaper's March. A wife, a husband, a son or daughter, mother or father, aunt or uncle. Each of us has lost one or more of these. It has touched every family and elsewhere. The dreadful epidemic, the terrible plague, the Knahaten Flu. It started in Senchal, on Sweet Street, in the Black Hiergo slums, among the Skumastruck. At first, the city elders dismissed it as a toxin in the goods, but then it spread to Doggy's Pride and Squint Eye, and was reported from the docks in Alabaster as well. And suddenly, it was everywhere. Dorval, Orcrest, Dune, Corinth, and all points in between. The winds of Canarthi bore the coughing and retching to every ear. We seem to be witnessing the death of cats on Nirn. Slowly, elsewhere began to fight back against its doom. Clan Mother Mizabako of Corinth first identified how the flu spread from Khajiit to Khajiit. Rathuni La Dawnwhisker, a daughter of Azura from Riverhold, distilled a sorghum tea that mitigated the worst of the symptoms. Even I contributed, organizing the remnants of Main's Legion to maintain order and put this new knowledge to use. But it was not enough. Everywhere, Khajiit were dying by the litter, by the pride, by the entire tribe. The moon bishops read the portents, and they were dire indeed. Then, past all expectation, help arrived from an unforeseen direction. Over the western waves came the elves of Somerset, bringing physicians, healers, desperately needed supplies. And one more thing. Hope. Hope that elsewhere would survive. At first, many cats were suspicious. Never before had the haughty High Elves helped the Khajiiti. Why now? But their cannon reeves passed among us, as if unafraid of the flu, and explained, the Altmer did it not from friendship, but from policy. We needed their help now, and they would need our help later. Invaders were coming to southwest Tamriel, they said, and the High Elves could not repulse them without Khajiiti claws at their side. To fight against mutual enemies, that was logic we catfolk could understand. So we accepted the aid of the High Elves, and their sly cousins, the Wood Elves, and gradually the Knahaten Flu began to recede. And when Queen Eiren of Alinor proposed the alliance treaty of the Aldmeri Dominion, we took plume and claw and signed it. Now, fellow Khajiiti, we have been through the forges of torment, and with our new allies, we emerge stronger than ever. We welcome the chance to test blade and edge against these invaders, to spill their blood and take their bright objects. For now is the time of the Dominion. One of the deadliest diseases to hit the face of Tamriel was the Knahaten Flu, also known as the Knahaten Plague. This devastating illness hit the populace in the Second Era, year 560, and lasted for 43 years, until the Second Era, year 603. At its height, the Knahaten Flu had nearly spread to every corner of Tamriel, killing a massive portion of its population. The flu wiped out entire families and caused mass paranoia across the land. Among those most affected, the Khajiit, especially those in the city of Senchal and southern elsewhere. The Khajiit were especially susceptible to its effects. Fun fact: in Valenwood, the Knahaten Flu nearly killed all worshippers of Zen, the Bosmeri god of toil, agriculture, and payment in kind, leading the Bosmer to abandon all worship of the deity soon after. There is no definitive answer as to how the Knahaten Flu was introduced to Tamriel, although there are two well-known theories. The first theory attributes the illness to an Argonian shaman who was fed up with the way his race was treated by the other races of Tamriel. It was said he created and unleashed the disease, quote, through a manipulation of their cherished spore trees, unquote, also known as the Hist. A second theory is that the Knahaten Flu was born of more natural causes. However, the people of Tamriel needed someone to blame for such a travesty. So, because the Argonians had a natural immunity to the flu, the Argonian shaman theory holds the most weight with the populace. There are no accurate accounts as to how many Tamrielans lost their lives to the Knahaten Flu, but its devastating effects were immeasurable. The disease killed nearly the entire non-Argonian population of Black Marsh and scared outsiders away for centuries. Even Tiber Septim himself was hesitant to invade the Black Marsh due to his fears of bringing the Knahaten Flu back to his home. Fun fact: after the rapid spread and wide swath of destruction caused by the Knahaten Flu, the only race brave enough to stick around in Black Marsh were the Dunmer slavers of House Drez, who depended upon Argonian slaves to power their workforce. Once the Knahaten Flu struck Black Marsh, Cyrodiil lost its hopes of total control over most of the province. The plague is thought to be one of the main reasons for the Three Banners War. The royal family of Wayrest succumbed to its clutches, which placed newly crowned King Emmerich in a position to form the Daggerfall Covenant. The Knahaten Flu, being especially devastating to the Khajiit of elsewhere, motivated them to join the Aldmeri Dominion out of gratitude for the High Elves who rendered major assistance to the Khajiiti population during the worst periods of the plague. The illness also allowed the Argonians an independent voice throughout the land and allowed them to join the Ebonheart Pact as equals, instead of slaves, alongside the Dunmer. Fun fact: the Kothringi, a native humanoid silver-skinned race that lived in Black Marsh, were thought to have been completely eradicated by the Knahaten Flu. One of the most touching stories of the time of the Knahaten Flu was that of the Crimson Ship. Many Kothringi refugees left Black Marsh to avoid the effects of the Knahaten Flu, but they were turned away at every single port at which they attempted to land. They sailed the seas, and at the last port they attempted refuge, Hammerfell, they were again turned away. Eventually, they drifted at sea. The Crimson Ship was found by a group of pirates, but not a single crew member was alive. For this reason, on the 20th of Rain's Hand, the people of Hammerfell honor them on the Day of Shame. No Redguard will leave their home, for it is said that the Crimson Ship will return on this day.